spooky, flashy, gallus. To help set the scene for this podcast, I will tell you that on the wall to my left, my yellow bedroom wall, is a spider. So every now and again I'm going to be keeping my eye on this little prick of a spider. I'm not scared of spiders, but nowadays I'm scared to kill them because, you know, like when you split a spider and like you chop off one head, two more takes its place, and 1,000 spiders scroll out all those videos, that freaks me out. I can handle one spider, and he's a relatively large fella, but he's not a huge like toilet spider. You know the difference between like toilet spiders and just house spiders. He's just a wee house spider crawling about. I'm also not one of those freaky people that are like mad into spiders and like sit with them on their hand as they crawl about and they're like, oh, I've got a pet spider. No, I don't want to be bit by a spider. I don't want to become Spider-Man, or even worse, Morbius. That was the wrong one. It's Madam Web that has the like awful Spider-Man spider shit. And anyway, welcome to this edition of the Gallus podcast. My name is Ryan Robertson, your host, showrunner. Have been for the better part of 2 years now, doing my job pretty well. This is the final. Well, it's the final time I'll sit down and say this to you. This is the behind the scenes podcast for Senseiv 4, also known as Senseiv, because the V and the I is like 4 Roman numerals and it like works and it's a great bit. And honestly, I knew I was doing 4 because of that bit. I was going to do as many films as it took me to get to that bit, and I'm at that bit now, so I can stop. Nah, I'm only messing. I knew I wanted it to kind of be a 4-part series, 4 kind of 15-minute parts to make a kind of larger hour story that could maybe go on to become a fringe act or an hour television special type deal. And roughly, if you average out removing the specials, you know, the Hugman A ones, it does roughly work out as the Senseiv story, and the Karate Man is about an hour, which is what we were going for. See, I'm an efficient fella. This is the behind the scenes for that, where I'll tell you some stories about how it came to be, ideas that I had that get rejected. I'll talk you through the shoot itself, and I'll just try and have a nice wee time. It'll be about 20 minutes. I did one for Sensei 1, that took about an hour. Heaven knows how I got that long. I don't think I did one for Sensei 2, and I did one for Sensei 3 that was about 21 minutes long, which is a very specific number I've gave you. I also have a can of Coke Zero, and it's the ones that... Okay, so this can of Coke Zero has class of 25 wrote on the side of it. I'm not a part of any class of 25. Sure. Spider has not moved since I've started recording, so maybe I'll be recording forever just to like keep this spider there. So this podcast will have released a couple weeks after Senseiv 4 released. So what do you think of it? Was it any good? Was it what you were hoping for? Was it how you thought the story was going to end? Did you like the aesthetic? Did you like the setting? Did you like the jokes? I put a lot of work into Senseiv 4. Sensei 1, a lot of work went into because obviously it was the college graded unit. Sensei 2, a lot of work went into because I was in a kind of weird mental space at the time, also doing Spellbound, and I wanted an escape from that, and my escape was Sensei. Sensei 3, me and Joe just dicked about and filmed in a night. It was pretty much purely improvisational, but Sensei 4 was the end. And I knew I wanted something good to be the ending, and I always knew that the ending of the story would be Christmas Joe beating the Karate Man to death with nunchucks as established in the first one, and the other ones were just setting us up all the necessary beats to get there so we could have all of the setups and all of the other films all to be paid off in this 4th film. And I knew I wanted it to be a more kind of karate based story, and I thought the perfect way to do that would be to do it through the lens of a grading, because my sensei had some mental grading isms. Some mental grading stories to him, and also some of the things that happen in the Sensei film are based on true stories. I didn't write a word for word script for this one. Instead, I was at work one day and I needed something to do to kill time. Oh, you can hear the paper. You can hear the papers coming out, which means there's kind of a script. I needed something to do to kill time, right? Because I had a game that was an absolute treat because they were incredibly smart children. I mean, they might have been adults. I don't particularly care how old people are. I'm not a creep. I'm just going to leave that sentence and let it sit for a while. There we go. I'm also on the hunt for my Sensei notes on paper. Oh no, I've accidentally just spilled out lots of bit of paper. This one says Shelty B, Kevin Steen, Zach Gibson, Konosuke Takeshita, Silence. It was for a tournament that myself and Daniel were doing for my GM. Anyway, I had some basic ideas, and the ideas stem from I want it to be the grading, and I want it to be kind of testing Christmas Joe on all of the things he's learned across all of the prior Karate Man stories, and I want it to conclude with Christmas Joe beating him to death after he fails how to bow. So I've just kind of jot down some ideas for jokes every now and again at this day at work, and then I was like, right, I'm going to crack down and I'm going to actually beat for beat, scene for scene, write down the structure and script. So here are the notes that I made. Intro and grading exposition. What is a grading? In about 3 hours, we will see if Christmas Joe can do the impossible and pass his first grading and receive the next rank up, the orange belt. Cut to the title card sequence. That didn't happen. Instead, I adapted it and was like, actually, I want Sensei Nire, then title card, just to exactly mirror the first. And instead, I couldn't think of a 3 weeks ago today way to start this one. So I decided that how did I start it again? It was like, this is the most important day of Christmas Joe's life. Yes, I did a kind of similar opening monologue. And I would go on to where this goes. It says, the Karate Man explains what a grading is and the proceedings you will see, the 4 things Christmas Joe has to achieve. That's what happens. I go, Christmas Joe will perform moves, his basics will be judged, he will perform kata, he will block, and he will bow Christmas Joe. All in an effort to earn his orange belt, and I had an idea for like him having to tie his white belt to just kind of start it, so he can, because that was one thing that we established Christmas Joe couldn't do in the first one, was tie a belt, and it was a running gag throughout the 3 of them. His belt just vanished. That was inconsistencies in filming, but that's not important. So we strapped the belt up, got him to do that. The Karate Man just kind of hurled some abuse. And then it said it would transition to the Karate Man reminiscing his own orange belt grading during Christmas Joe dicking about with his belt, which is what we did. So you can tell that I went in with a plan and pretty much beat for beat executed the start of the plan to the highest degree. I'm quite happy with myself. I'll come back to this page. Oh, these are in no order whatsoever. Right. The move execution sequence. The Karate Man gets Christmas Joe to perform 4 moves and judges him accordingly. The punch. The kick. We did a punch, we did a kick. I had originally the Uriken, but I ditched an Uriken and instead did the kind of front kick, back kick, side kick, spinning kick, round kick kind of thing from the Christmas special actually that I did with Joe, the very first Karate Man. We were also back in the studio, by the way, for what that's all. I've opened my hand to say we were also back in the studio, gusting with the paper, which sent B Spider absolutely fleeing. So I've got no idea where this spider is. I think it's now down behind the radiator and on the floor. That's great. But at least I haven't chopped off its heat so many more aren't going to take its place. The movie execution bit was the bit I was most worried about with the filming, because I knew this is the bit that had the tendency to like go on and on and on. But again, we filmed it how we normally do, which is I don't really give Joe too much direction. I just tell him, this is what I'm going to do. You know your character. Respond. And that's how we get the absolute gold that we do. We would then have the kata sequence. Now, I knew I wanted it, obviously, in typical Karate Man fashion, to be a song that plays for the kata sequence, but I couldn't for the life of me think of it. I knew I wanted to edit down Keon kata into being to the beat of a song. Now, that honestly went on to the actual shoot itself. I still didn't know what song I wanted to use. So I had penciled in Mambo number 5, mainly because there's a bit where it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you could do 1, 2, 3, punches on the ones. Like the count could have transitioned in, so it kind of worked. Performs Keon kata with the Karate Man and himself. There's moments of the Karate Man and Christmas Joe bonding as the Karate Man helps Christmas Joe. There's like 2 of that in there. Shots of the orange belt, like the unattainable goal for the Karate Man. I didn't edit that in actually. And it just breaks the format established by the camera. It doesn't break the format established by the camera. Something, I was really proud of the camera work for this one, but we'll get to that. How to block is literally just as simple as the Karate Man gets Christmas Joe. To block a strike, literally a very quick dun gag. Don't need it to be too elaborate, and that's what we did. And then we moved on to the kind of final sequence, the block, followed by Christmas Joe legit beating the Karate Man to death. Which is, well, it's what happened. The ending punchline, I've called it, followed by the end title and credits. I was really proud with the end result of the film, and I'm really proud that I had a plan and literally just did everything beat for beat to the plan. I've got a little page here on opening titles and end credits. The end credits would play similarly to the first one, where it'd be like, "Up, Christmas Joe directed the credits, up, da 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 da." And then it would be kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine, just like a kind of highlight of like me and Joe having really wholesome moments throughout filming. But then the film would have been like 22 minutes long, and I didn't want to do that. So I scrapped the credits and ended it on "The Karate Man has died." Because that's a funny joke. And then the opening titles, I said it could be a PowerPoint again, like the first one, or it could be a recap of all of the events that happened, like a WWE hype package to help set the scene for the grading. And that's what I ultimately did. I did like a hype package looking through all the best bits. The spider has returned. It has climbed itself up from the ether and it's really, really fond of this one bit of my windowsill. Why do you like this one bit of my windowsill so much, Spider? Why can't you just crawl over there? No? Why can't you do something instead of just sitting there in this one spot that you've been in by the time I blew you away? Stop coming back to this. Do something. Attack me. I hate you, Spider. You're not my pet. You do not deserve to be in my house. Okay? We're in the same wavelength here. You're going to do something the next time I turn around to look at you. I'm going to get back to talking about the Karate Man now. So, in my edit, I decided upon the song for the sequence. It was in the edit, I decided what song I was going to use. And I was like, you know what? It needs to be something that has numbers in it. And what's a song that has numbers in it? You're right, Drowning Pool's Bodies. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. So that's what I'd do. I would edit Let the Bodies Hit the Floor to be 1. Step and punch. 2. Step and punch. 3. Step and punch. 4. Step and punch. Spinning downward party. Step and punch, spinning downward party. I really like the beat of Drowning Pools, and I really like the way I was able to edit it to the kata, and it was about a minute the entire sequence, editing, kind of chopping and changing bits of the song to suit. I'm really proud of that bit. It's like such an unnecessary gag, but you've got to pay homage to all the things you've set up, and the things that you've set up is there's a song in every Karate Man movie, and the song is the most batshit mental thing ever. So start with Oasis, move yourself to I'm Just Ken, then there's a bit of Monty Python, there's Joe Hendry's theme at one point, like there is, it's all just songs that are relevant to the time being, and Drowning Pool Bodies is a song I got to rave to at DJ Mark Henry's rave. Let's get the other notes out in the big bad book of notes, the book I didn't take, which I think was just me streamlining my thought process. Christmas Joe must block and bow, that's the kind of important beats, it doesn't matter what he does in the rest, that was ticked off. The location, I had a few locations in mind. I wanted it to potentially be the original filming location of the Karate Man at college. I thought about the TV studio at the uni, and I thought about the hall of which I actually did karate about in Prestwick, and the squash court I trained karate in for a while in Ayr. But I liked it to go with the TV studio because the curtain and the kind of studio setup made it a lot easier bits. The classic intro to the Christmas Joe grade, and I remember my orange belt grading. Yeah, so that bit, I wanted it to be a kind of transition to a black and white match cut. And it would do a wipe of the Karate Man reminiscing his orange belt grading, which is what I did, except I don't think it's in black and white, and I don't think it's a match cut. I think it's funnier the way it is, because it looks like it tried to be and didn't work. Talk about half passes and the fail rate, you never fail an orange pursuit. I honestly couldn't be asked with that amount of exposition. It was like, that I did record it, and it's like 40 seconds of me just trying to explain how the pass rate of orange belts is like 100%. And I was like, nah, there's a line in there already where I like very quickly sum it up. For some reason, Tipex into this notepad page is potentially reused footage from 1 to 3. I did that in the opening intro bit. I like how I Tipexed it just to use Tipex, to see how it worked to write on Tipex. Beaten to death by Christmas Joe with nunchucks. Joe denies the orange belt, the black belt, and the white belt, and whips the Karate Man. The relationship flashes as Joe leaves. He smashes the framed photo of the dead sensei. The framed photo of the dead sensei was meant to be on the set, but I kid you not, it has already been destroyed. In the first one, you can already see there's the corner ripped off of it, and every single one, it just got in worse and worse state. So when I went to try and find it to take it, I picked it up, I dropped it, and the frame itself and the picture itself ripped and shattered. And I didn't have time to grab a new one. And I was like, it's okay. I'll just make this orange belt on the side of frame look like the absolute apex. And that's what we did. There was so much clutter. So when we arrived to the set, they didn't realise that anyone had booked it because they weren't really looking, because they just assumed no one would. So I booked it. So that room that we booked was just full of all the junk that they didn't know where to put it. So we moved it all, to much time and effort of myself and Joe. Thank you, Joe, for helping me move all of the stuff, tables, big bits of framework, mats, rugs, black stuff. There was a table, luckily, which we were able to use, and then a bit of black stuff that I was put on the table to make it match the black curtain, and a bit of that kind of scaffolding shit, the rigging. Wrapped the orange belt around it, and that's like the kind of trophy that he's after. Smashing. I should have got Joe to drop it on me. Like, I think I could have taken that. Just not the head, obviously, like the back. What we got here? Alright, cool. Aim for one camera position and all shots are taken from it, like the first Karate Man. That's what we did. It was one static camera that did not move, taking all shots. And in the edit, I decided to cut into it to give it a bit of diversity depending on what was going on. But I was really proud of just the one constant shot. And then shit hits the fan on the things I had planned to do. One thing that was a bit I really thought I liked, but decided against doing on the day because I began to dislike it when I began to try and put it into visual practice. And that is, Modern Family. When it just like cuts away to random cutaways of like Phil saying something really funny, and then it cuts back to the story. I thought about doing Modern Family sitcom style cutaways, the Karate Man, like critiquing Christmas Joe. And it would just have been Christmas Joe on stage doing the thing, Karate Man off, and it would cut to the Karate Man at a table with the glasses on, looking at notes. But I thought it was better if the Karate Man was just getting angry beside Christmas Joe, because then it warrants more of a reason for Christmas Joe to leave. So it was a good idea in my head, but it didn't make any sense to actually do in execution. I made a note that I wanted to bring back the transitions between different scenes with like Christmas Joe holding a bit of paper and it being like hit with a chair. We did that. We brought that back, and I think it makes the film so much better. I had a list of props I needed to source or bring. Senseiv's photo, white and orange belt, camera equipment, the TV studio itself, something to sit the belt on, Christmas Joe's outfit, table paper, chair, transition papers, and nunchucks. And then I just go into detail about the Modern Family interviews that I would go on to never use, because I didn't like the idea when I started to put it in practice. Spider, I told you needed to move before the next time I started talking to you, and you haven't moved. Anyway, so I would ask Joe, you up for it? And he's like, aye, absolutely. So I'd meet with Joe, we would get the studio eventually, we would clear it eventually, and we'd start filming. And honestly, we did it in 2 takes of basically everything. I just kind of picked the best ones. It was a very nice, relaxing shoot. It was also nice whilst I was setting up to just kind of get a wee catch up, a wee tease, because Joe's in third year of uni, I'm in second, so it was good to get a kind of wee tease of the third year that's coming ahead. Sounds fine. It sounds completely fine. Here, I got an A in my essay, by the way, the Uncle Boomie thing that exists somewhere in this podcast, like back catalogue. I got an A for that. I was well chuffed. Jarvis's feedback was like, your conversational tone only works because it's paired with skillful theory, and I'm like, damn right. He's like, it made me laugh, and I'm like, damn right, that's how I write. I've always hated the academic writing because I failed when I tried to sound like a robot or try to sound like not me. When I try and write in my writing style, I do better, but they don't let me write how I like to write, which is really, it's like a catch-22. It's a really backwards thing. You should just let folk write however the hell they want to write. Like, I'm not doing anything too wrong, surely. I always knew that I wanted it to be released on May 17th, my birthday, and the 2-year anniversary of Gallus, because I have a thing for like releasing special things on special dates to me, because we're all narcissists at the end of the day, and it's kind of nice, because that way I'll always remember when I released certain things. The end of the Karate Man on my birthday, 2 years after the announcement of the release of the first one, kind of deal, Like it made sense in my head. It made a lot of thematic sense. Honestly, there's not too many behind-the-scenes stories for the actual recording itself. It was a sublime time. Christmas just spat on the floor at one point. I had a nice wee can of Pepsi Max. Afterwards, I walked home in the boiling heat, and I'd get to the house. What was I doing that evening? Honestly, can't remember what I did that night. Did I go to the pub? Oh, I went to the theatre. I went to the theatre that night. That's mental. That was the same night as the theatre. And so I went for dinner in Willie Wassell's, which was not a pleasant experience. I don't like Wassell's food, I'll be honest, Daniel. I really don't like your Willie Wassell's scran. I don't think I'll be going for any more Willie Wassell's scran anytime soon. I'll stick to their pretty good pints though, because they'll get pretty good pints. Oh, I like that. I like the way the like wave word looked when I paused and said pints. Pints. Like it jumps up and down so quickly because it's a short kind of sorry, I was too busy looking at Audacity there. Pints. 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 Happiness. See, just looking at every single word's like different waveform. Sorry, I got really distracted by that. I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and I still get distracted by Audacity when I have it open, or GarageBand when I'm using that and it's open. So I need to get Google up, I need to get a pretty image. I'm not going to bother getting a pretty image up. It's just like get Ren up back on the screen or some shit. Get the Karate Man back up. Where were we? Yes, we were. I was like, so recorded, wrapped, walked home, nice and easy. The joy was the edit, because I got to make the decisions about like cutting in to the images. I didn't realise I wanted to do that, but I did. I got cutting things out, realising that I'm just going to leave it as 20 minutes because that'll roughly about take the three of them to being an hour, and that's what we want. Joe was like, can you send me the mega mix, the mega cut? And I was like, aye. So the mega cut exists on my unlisted YouTube at this moment in time. Whether I release that or not, I don't really know. I might. Just everything edited together. I told so many people before we were shooting that I was killing off the Karate Man at the end of it. And I don't know if they ever believed me, whether I was telling the truth or not, but yeah, I'm killing him off. I'm done. I've got so many ideas for the Karate Man as a character. Richter, you can enjoy the little pause between me saying cat and Richter there. We had to edit out some pretty gnarly noises from outside. But I've also ran out of ideas for the Karate Man as a character, and I think it's a part of my life I need to leave and move on and get on to new creative prospects. I can leave the chapter. I'm almost ready to leave it. There's one thing I want to do left, and that is before I try and take it and actually make it a full-on thing in my future, because I will try and make the Karate Man like a character that when I'm in a production pitch I can go to the Karate Man and be like, this is the kind of thing I want to make a high-budget reality. Because the audience is there. Everybody bloody loves the Karate Man. It's like the most praised thing I've done, which is really funny. It's really funny to me that it's the thing that people always say is the best. Anyway, there's one thing I want to do, and that'll release, I imagine, well into the later end of this year. And that is a documentary about the production of the Karate Man and Christmas Joe, the entire saga. The 3 years worth of work that we put into it. I've got so much footage, so much behind the scenes footage, and so many stories that I haven't told. But if I could get a nice little hour documentary to put up on YouTube and to put onto Spotify, mainly for me, but also as a kind of, I love making documentaries, and I think it'd be really good practice to try and craft a documentary around one of my own stories to have. And the Karate Man, the production of that is the best thing I can do, which means I'm going to get the joy of interviewing myself. I've got camera lighting set up coming in the not too distant future. It's where the lights, I've got a lighting set up coming. It's going to be the interview filming an interview with myself. I'll write my own questions and then I'll edit together something using all the footage I have. I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it's going to turn out genuinely great, and I want people's feedback on it desperately. I need to know what people think of the documentary I'm making. I mean, it'll be like 2 or 3 months it's released from the release of this episode. It'll be this toned down and more specific with no random rants to that spider. That spider has moved about 5 inches to the left, by the way. It's taken you 25 minutes to move 5 inches to the left. I'd also go out my way to create a wee trailer for the Karate Man following the edit of this one, which was just a kind of idea to get the kind of shots started to go on the Gallus page, because shots is one of the best ways you can grow a page on the YouTube, and I was like, I'll do that, you know, I can link the video to it, or I can release it at the same time. I can make a trailer in the same vein as the beginning one with the vomps. Vomps. So I was well chuffed with that, and I hope it goes down well. I got to bring back the original 2 pieces of Karate Man music from Karate Man 1. Like, I was just bringing in all of these things, visual gags that relate to the first Karate Man. I was doing, like, slow zooms in. I was bringing back all my classic gags. Media offlines, yep, get that in there. But the one thing that I'm happiest with is the look of the film. I decided I wanted to strip it back, because the Karate Man is timeless. The second one looks like it was shot on a phone. It wasn't. I just exported it at very low quality for my own shits and gigs. And the third one looks way too good. But it also looks like there's just one light way too bright shining on these two. The third one, I wanted to go back to the VHS style of the first one, and I got my favourite VHS look, the kind of green glow around everything. I think it's the best looking Karate Man film, the best sounding Karate Man film. I think it's got some really good jokes. And I think the funniest Karate Man film is the second one, then the first one, then this one, in terms of like sheer humour. But I think this has the best story to any of the Karate Man films. And on that note, I will say thank you for listening to Oh My God, the Spider's Gone completely. Oh My God, the Spider is back. And would you like to know what it's making a beeline for? It's making a beeline for the exact same spot. I guess it's because that's where its web is. And everywhere it goes, it's just kind of like going back to the... How do spiders make webs? And like, how is all that web inside of it? Wow. Thought-provoking questions on the 8th of May 2025. Oh, I said that. I spoiled the date this was being recorded on. Oops. Yeah, I'm a man that pre-records a lot of things. I've got a back catalogue ready for like the rest of the year. Don't know who you're kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. You can check out the film if you haven't already seen it in the link 3 in the episode. Sorry, via the link 3, or just straight up in the link 3 in the episode descriptor. Via the Gallus YouTube, you can find the entire Karate Man saga. There is a convenient playlist with all of them. And I hope you like this episode. Let me know what you make of the film. Leave a comment on the YouTube post, because it does the most for it in the algorithm. Share it about as well. I mean, if you want, like, if you think somebody will find it funny, send them it and tell them this is kind of funny. And I can't wait to make this documentary I'm planning on doing. Ball cheeky flashy gallus, lads.